But you said that you can make $0 go to the IRS and we can keep all of our money. How do you do that? Well, I'm gonna show you a few tips, tricks that, are not really commonly practiced by a lot of individuals, because most of us are W-2 employees. We don't do what I'm about to show you, but here's a tip and a trick that you can utilize. Welcome back to the Truck Boss Academy. I got something I want to show you guys real quick. If you caught my first video, I was explaining to you guys how a lot of people, they say, hey, start a trucking business or start any business, and you can start it for little to no money out of your pocket. Okay. And again, that depends on the situation, the person, and a lot of other factors. Not saying it's impossible, but it does depend on several factors. But what I want to show you guys today is this. Yes, you can start a trucking business or any business for that matter. But you don't want to utilize your own money. Like I said in the first video that I put on this channel, you don't want to utilize your own money. Now, how do you get to the point where you can utilize someone else's money to start that trucking business? All right. So you want to start your box truck business. How are you going to get that 5,000? Because they're saying you can start a truck business for 5 or 6 grand. But what if you don't even have that 5 or 6 grand? Okay. How do you do this? And as I explained previously, you're going to do so by leveraging your credit. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, go back and watch the first video that I put on this channel, talking about leveraging your credit and how to start, in the box truck industry without using your own money. Now, I'm going to show you in this video why it is important for you to leverage your credit. But before you can do that, you must change your status. All right. And what I mean by changing your status is you must go from W-2 to entity, business entity. And it's a reason you want to go from W-2 to business entity because, well, look at it this way. If you have a football field, what do you expect to see on a football field? Football players. If there's a basketball court, you expect to see basketball players. A baseball field, you expect to see baseball players, and so on. Well, the United States is built off corporations. There are even some that say that the United States is a corporation itself. And if that is a fact, then wouldn't you expect to see those who succeed are actually corporations or business entities? And I'm going to show you why that's factual and why you need to change your status from W-2 to business entity. Okay, let's draw this line. And on this side, you have W-2 employees. And on this side, you have those who have chosen to elect as an LLC. Now, what's the difference? Okay, here's something I'm pretty sure you guys knew, but probably just didn't dawn on you. Like, I knew that, but I didn't know that. Watch this. W-2 employees, there's an order your money goes in that the LLC, the person who elected to be an LLC, is completely opposite. Okay, it's just a complete opposite. So watch this. A W-2, you have your money. All right. My drawing is horrible, but that's your money. Okay, that's your money. And this over here is you. Okay, that's you. But before your money comes to you, it has to make a stop. And that stop is the IRS. Okay, the IRS. You're going to be taxed about, on average, 3 to 5 times, depending on the state and your location. You're going to be taxed 3 to 5 times before your money ever makes it to your bank account. Okay. Now, after it stops in, the IRS department, now it comes to you. Now, oh, I forgot to give you arms. There you go. Now your money comes to you after it's made a stop at the IRS. Now from you, it goes over to, guess what? Bills. And that's the process of a W-2 employee. But watch how this process works completely different for an LLC employee. So the LLC employee, instead of being down here where this guy is, you're up here. with a big smile. Because why? Your money comes to you first. Your money comes to you first. Actually, let me draw a better drawing. Okay. So we can make sure we understand what we're looking at. All right. Here's your money. Okay. It both starts at the same place. That's your money. Okay. Here is you. All right. You're this guy with a big smile on your face. Why? Because your money comes directly to you first. Now, when it comes to you, now from you, it goes to, guess what? Your bills. Okay. Now it goes to your bills. And guess what the last stop is for your money? The IRS. Why is it that a W-2 employee, the first stop for his or her dollar is the IRS, but for someone who has elected to be a LLC or a business entity, the first stop for their money is the person themselves, and the last stop is the IRS. Okay, it's the last stop. But here's the beauty of before it reaches this stop right here, our bills are going to take up so much money. We're going to tell the IRS, sorry, we don't have anything. We don't have anything to give you, Uncle Sam. We're out of money. What do you mean? How can you do that? I'm not really into politics, and I don't really care about which side you're voting for, but I'm going to use this as an example. You guys remember when Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump were debating, and she made some comment about him not paying taxes, and he goes, well, that makes me smart. Well, like him, love him, hate him, he was telling the truth. That makes him smart because he knows how he knows how to use the system. Okay. And that's what we need to learn how to do. But you use the system by creating a business entity. Of course, everybody tells you to run out, get a box truck business, set up your LLC. No one says anything about a standard operating agreement. And if you don't have that, especially depending on certain states, I believe California is one of them. If you don't have that, then you don't have the limited liability that you thought you had. So if you got sued, a creditor can do what's called piercing the corporate veil, and they can come and take your personal belongings. They can take your money. They can take a lot of things that you thought they couldn't take because everyone online simply tells you to go out and just get a box truck business and get an LLC. No. Properly structuring your business is first. Now, once it's properly structured, the next step is this: set your business up, everything that you need to do, get your box truck company going, make a lot of money. You got to have a good business model for that as well. It's not as simple as, hey, jump in here, get you a box truck, maybe two, and you're going to be a millionaire. It doesn't work that way. Okay. I've tried it several times in several ways over until I found a winning formula. It doesn't work that way. Okay. But I'll tell you this, once you find your winning formula and you begin to make a lot of money, hopefully that you are making a lot of money, you need to learn how to protect that money. Okay. Learn how to protect that money. And the way you learn how to protect that money is to learn the strategies, the codes that are created by the IRS, the codes that they allow us to utilize to save our money. Okay. So if you're making 150 grand a year, why are you paying 30, 40, 50,000, however much you got to pay back to Uncle Sam? We're going to make sure Uncle Sam gets paid last. And if he even gets paid, we're going to make sure it's at a very minimum. Okay. Why? Because it's 100% legal. Like Donald Trump said, like him, love him, hate him, whatever. I'm not a supporter. I don't get into the politics thing, but he did say, hey, it makes me smart. Why? Because he understood how to make Uncle Sam the last stop and not the first stop. When you're a W-2 employee, Uncle Sam for your money is the very first stop. You get to touch your money after Uncle Sam has touched it 3 to 5 times. And then once it gets to you, you have what's left over to pay your bills. Think about that. You're paying your bills with what's left over. So yeah, you could run out and, get a job or do whatever you want, but you're not really winning unless you're setting up a business entity, properly structuring a business entity. Now, with this whole box truck industry, can you do well with that? I say, yeah, if you have a good business model and a winning formula, and if you understand, your business, yeah, you can definitely do well, but there's no point in doing well if you're just going to give all the money to Uncle Sam. Okay, so I showed you guys this last time. All right, I'm not going to go through the entire process. There are steps to this. You may say, wow, that's a lot of steps, but you only have to do this once a year. Okay, so here's my business. All right, my business is XYZ LLC. My business made $1 million. Okay, Uncle Sam wants to tax that 37%. All right, that comes out to roughly $370,000. All right, I don't want to pay Uncle Sam $370,000. So what am I going to do? All right, my business XYZ LLC is going to pay 3 other companies. Those 3 other companies, well, guess what? They're my companies. And this is 100% legal because I'm able to contract with my company. You might say, why am I able to contract with my company? Understand, when you set up a business entity, a LLC, and you create that EIN number, if you don't know already, that EIN number is a social security number basically for a business. It's its own entity. Okay. So now I have 3 entities out here. Follow along with me. 3 entities out here. One of them is marketing business. Another one is a consulting business. Another one is a design business. Okay. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to pay my marketing business because marketing, promotion, all that good stuff is a need for my business XYZ. I need to market and promote, and I hired a specialized company that does that for me. I just happen to own that company, which is 1000% legal. Now, get this in mind. There are tax codes where the IRS states you are able to write off or do deductions. All right. It allows for deductions. That's tax code 162, the IRS code 162. It allows you to do deductions, meaning anything you spend money on that's a need for your business, well, guess what? That's a write-off. I can deduct that. And when I deduct that, guess what I don't have to do? I don't have to pay taxes on that. All right? I don't have to pay taxes on that. So again, I owe the IRS $370,000 because why? I just made $1 million. They want $370,000. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to agree with a contract with this company, which is my company, for $120K. And this company, I'm going to pay it $120K. And this company, I'm going to pay it $120K. I'm going to do this yearly. Okay. Paying each one of my companies $120,000 that I'm paying to my company. Why? To perform certain tasks for me. Marketing, consulting, design. Okay. Now, I just paid $120,000. That brings me a total of $360K. Leaves me with a $10,000 tax liability. All right. 10,000. That's a lot less than 370,000. Now you might say, well, the 120, you guys got to pay taxes on that. Yeah, that's true too. But there's so many ways around this. And as I showed in the last video, guess what? Dad works for me. Mom works for me in this company. Sister works for me in this company. Okay. And guess what? Let's say 40 grand for dad, 40 grand for mom, 40 grand for my sister. Okay. Now, what does that bring the tax liability to? If you subtract 40, all right, we drop down now. We're at 80. Okay. I also have a charity. A, B, C, charity. That's horrible writing, but it says charity. All right. And the companies that now have a tax liability of 80,000, okay, they're each going to pay 40,000 to the charity, which puts inside of this charity, all right, it's going to put 120,000 here, which now leaves the tax bill or liability at 40K each. I'm going to stop right there. I'm just showing you step by step how you can lower your tax bill. All right, you can lower your tax bill. I can write this all the way down, 100% legal. I can write this all the way down to $0. I'm going to show you one more step. I said I was going to stop, but I'm going to show you one more thing. All right. Okay, watch this. So IRS, my handwriting's sloppy, but I just started over. IRS. All right. Code 280A subsection G. All right. Like, what is that? That's called the Augusta rule. What is that? Remember those companies that I was paying to, my companies? We got it all the way down to 40,000. Well, guess what? Even with that, the Augusta rule says that I'm able to rent out my space in my company up to 14 days per year. And I can write that off $1,000 per day. Okay. You can write it off $2,000 per day. Now, you don't want to get too crazy with it because, yes, it is a code that the IRS allows, but you don't want to be like, well, I rented out my office space for $5,000, but everyone else in the area is like $500. All right. That's a little ridiculous. So what you would want to do is just go to like or Google or call hotels with conference rooms in the area and get the general price. Most of them are going to be like, well, $1,000 or $1,500 per day. And you set your price off of that but for the sake of simplicity, we're just going to say $1,000. All right. So 14 days, I can rent out my space for guess what? How much? $1,000. Okay. Put my dollar sign there, which is what? $14,000. Remember, we were already down to 40,000. We just took off another 14,000. Okay. Now we're down to what? Taxable income is now 36,000 on, oh, I'm sorry, not 36. Just erase that. Now you're down to, 26,000 taxable income. Now, as I'm showing you, you continue to write this off lower and lower and lower. And these are all IRS codes that are written 1000% legal. So keep in mind, remember, this is how it works. Okay. It works this way. You have the W-2 employee versus the LLC. Remember, over here on the W-2 side, when we go to work every day, our money goes first to the IRS. Looks more like a muffin, but that's the IRS. Then once it leaves the IRS, it comes to us. After it's been taxed 3 to 5 times. And then once it gets in our hands, we have what's left over. And then we send that over to our bills. And hopefully some goes to savings, maybe. But on the LLC side, our money, guess what? It comes to us first. So we have a big smile on this side. Okay. And from us, we get to pay our bills next. Now, our bills are going to be, guess what? Those things that we just finished talking about. The Augusta rule. I rented out my space to who? Myself. I paid $120,000 to who? My companies, each company. All right. So now when we just followed the codes that the IRS have out there, now when we're done paying the bills, well, guess what? How much is left for the IRS? $0. Okay. $0. Now I'll give you guys one more nugget. Although you can write your business down to $0, you might not always want to write down to $0 because now, let's say in 2025, your tax bill, you wrote it all the way down. Hey, you gave great tips. We're down to $0. But now in 2026, you want to buy a house. Okay. They're going to ask you for your last year tax, last year tax filings. And if they see, well, you made no money because it's going to show that you made no money, although you're probably sitting on 150 grand, but document wise, you made no money. Okay. So therefore you won't be able to get a loan for a home or whatever you're trying to get a loan for. So be careful. Only write down to $0 if you're absolutely sure that you're not going to need to purchase anything or grab a loan. Okay. If you guys want to learn more, because again, I made this channel. Again, I showed you guys in the last channel that plaque is from my other channel that's completely unrelated to this channel. It's called We the People University. Unrelated, but on that channel, I'm doing the same thing on this channel that I did on that channel. And that's tell people about my experiences, real life, things I actually live and actually do on a daily basis. So if you guys want to learn more information, I actually have a academy that I do. I used to do this like individually, and then I got into the trucking space, and now I'm showing people how to easily use a good business model to make money with trucking, like many people are, but I'm showing you a good business model. And in that academy, we go through everything, properly structuring your business entity, because you're no longer going to be a W-2 employee when you come through the academy. We're going to make sure of that. You're going to properly structure your business entity. We're going to get you, if your credit score is at least 700, no recent late payments, no derogatories, we're going to get you funded, because you want to use their money and not your money. When you're there, you can get funded 100,000, 150,000, depending on how good your credit is, even up to close to 200,000. Now that you have that business credit, you don't just take that, run out and buy a car, some Jordans or whatever the case may be. You start a business. Once you start that business, box truck business, you get a good business model. We walk you through how to have a great business model, and you utilize their money to pay for that box truck. You utilize their money to put the down payments on your commercial insurance. You're going to utilize their money to buy your low bars and your straps and whatever else that you need. Okay. And once you do all of that, you're going to start making money using a business model that we're going to teach you. Okay. And when you use this business model and you start making money, now we're going to show you how to keep that money. All right. Bookkeeping, very important. Tax strategies, very important. We're going to show you how to keep, if not all, the majority of the money that you make. If you're interested in learning more, the link is down below. The Truck Boss Academy. Pay us a visit. We're willing and wanting to show you everything that we do each and every day. So this is not a, hey, go get a box truck company, make a lot of money. This is a step-by-step program that's going to show you a business model that's put together unlike anything you've seen anywhere else. If you're interested, the link's down below. Make sure you click that link, pay us a visit, and see you guys next time.